Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive! This week, I conclude my series on Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory by talking about character creation. Normally, I would talk about character advancement as well, but given that we're talking about something Warhammer 40K related, I want to make sure that I don't cover everything so that you have a reason to go and buy the book so that GW doesn't get angry at me. So with that said, sit back, relax, and enjoy as we figure out how you go into the grim darkness of the far future in which there is only war. So every game has its own character creation, and every character creation has its own little quirks. What makes the 40K roleplay system's character creation different is its tier system. Basically, every character archetype fits into a certain tier. Some fit in tier 1. Great examples are the Sister Hospitaller or an Imperial Guardsman. These are characters that are pretty darn basic or have like one small extra little niche that they do really good in. These start at 100 XP total for the character. Tier 2 are some more of the advanced things. Like a battle sister, Adeptus Sororitas mainline sister, or a Imperial sanctioned psyker, or let me just make sure on this, or a Space Marine scout. These are the sort of things that are tier 2. They're for the base human things, they're better than base human. The sanctioned psyker has psychic abilities. The battle sister has those years of combat training, and of course, the Adeptus Astartes scout has the first few implants for being a space marine, but he's not yet a full marine. Tier 3 is, of course, an actual Cult Mechanicus Tech Priest, an Imperial Commissar, or a... Now, they say Tactical Space Marine, but the Tactical Marine, that means he's gone through time as a Devastator, an Assault Marine, and then has reached the point of being a Tactical Marine. So I'm kind of a little curious on how they figured that setup, but a Tactical Marine is what they consider a tier 3 character. So it is a tier 3 character. Tier 4 is literally only 2 things, at least at the time of the core book: an Inquisitor or a Primaris Space Marine Intercessor. And again, this is like sort of the highest up you can go. Now, each tier you have 100 times that tier rating in XP for building your character. Each archetype that you pick costs a certain number of those experience points. Let's say, however, that you were in a game where the GM says this is going to be a tier 4 game, and you don't want to be an Inquisitor or a Primaris Intercessor. Let's say you want to be a Sister Hospitaller. Well, first off, you'll have 400 XP to build that character, and a Sister Hospitaller costs only 24 XP. So that means you're 3 tiers below where the start of the game is, though, because you're starting as a tier 1 character. Well, they have things called advancements. Sorry, let me rephrase that. They're called Ascensions. And for each tier you are above what your character tier is, what your archetype tier is, you get to take 1 advancement. Oh, sorry, 1 ascension. And each ascension has a cost and certain benefits. You have one like Back from the Brink. You were pretty much left for dead. You're going to start off owing the faction that helped you. And of course, it's going to cost 10 times your new tier in XP. And so, let's say you're a Sister Hospitaller and something happened. You were nearly killed, but you were brought back by, say, the Mechanicus. You're going to be gaining the Mechanicus keyword. You're going to be spending 20 XP. And you're going to have some little things going for you. You're going to have 2 memorable injuries, 2 traumatic injuries, and then you're going to replace any lost body parts with the appropriate augmentics. You may choose an option of any rarity the GM deems appropriate. But here's the thing. Only the people who saved you know that you're alive. So, if you built your Sister Hospitaller and say that you were back from the brink by the Adeptus Mechanicus, your sisterhood thinks you're dead. And you are effectively part of the Cult Mechanicus now. Of course, there's the Dauntless Reputation. You've earned a reputation in your field. It's 30 XP times new tier. You get a bonus influence. And then you gain the Devotee's talent. You gain a tremendous reputation within a faction. You get to pick which one. It doesn't have to be yours necessarily. And you get an enemy, a nemesis. Right? Demanding Patron. You have to have Persuasion at 3+. You now report to somebody above you. And when you take that package, you immediately gain 1 item of rare war gear with a value of 3+ the new tier. Immediately gain 2 wealth. Immediately gain +2 influence per tier ascended. And while there's also the Perfidious Wretch, the big thing, the big one among all these is Psychic Revelations. Basically, this is how you become a Psyker if you were from a tier that didn't include the Psyker. If you were from an archetype that did not include the Psyker keyword. Now, in this case, let's say you started off as... let's say you started the game off as a Adeptus Astartes Tactical Marine, but it was going to be a Tier 4 game. So you're playing a Tier 3 character. You want to play a Librarian. Guess what you do? You take your Tier 3 Marine. Note that the package for that Tier 3 Marine is... let me find him... is 277 XP. Now that's a lot out of a 300 XP character. But you're at a 400 XP character. So you're going to buy that 277 XP. That includes your being Adeptus Astartes, plus everything the Tactical Space Marine package has on it. From there, you buy Psychic Revelations for 40 XP. This is how you become a Librarian by this system. That's kind of something you have to understand. Now, there are a number of various types of Ascensions, but the causes for you taking an Ascension are: you chose an archetype lower than the game's tier at character creation, you gained 100 or more XP during play, and the GM just decides it's time to increase the tier of play. And I should point out that one of the Ascension archetypes is Archetype Ascension, where, and this is something you can do from Milestone Ascension, and basically an Archetype Ascension is you pick you change your archetype. Reach rank 3 by earning minimum XP. Select an archetype from your faction at the new tier of play. Spend XP on your attributes to equal or exceed the archetype's attributes and skills. And update your tier on your new character sheet. Yada yada yada. Archetype Ascension is how your character would cross over the Rubicon Primaris, becoming a Primaris Marine if you were starting off as a Tactical Space Marine. And that is pretty much the gist of the system's character creation. You have your tier of play. From there you pick your race and faction and a archetype package that is appropriate for that. Bam! You've got the core of your character. You then spend XP equal to the level needed to raise attributes and skills up to the levels you want them to be, matching the ultimate goal of the tier's XP bonus, or XP starting value. From there, you basically just You do have options for advantages you can take. The system does not have flaws to gain you more XP. It just has advantages. And certain factions give you a certain number of different free advantages. Space Marines, you pick your chapter and each one gives you two traits, a genetic bonus and a flaw based on the chapter. The Eldar, you pick one of the paths you have previously traveled, and that gives you bonuses to certain skills. Orcs get based on their culture. And humans, well, hey, you know what the advantage of being a human is? You get to die for the glory of the God Emperor. I mean, you get to be the perfect being. Simply because you have no extra advantages. Because you're a human. And yes, that's pretty much it. That is character creation for Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory. With that, I will conclude this series. Next week, I'm going to start giving overviews of Aberrant 2nd Edition. So until then, I'd like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming!